What is up, YouTube? It has been a while since I filmed a video for you guys. I have been traveling the country. I finished the semester. I've been traveling, visiting family and friends, and still diving deep into the markets and trading every single day. So I'm back with another recap to cover some of the points which have really helped me make progress in the last couple months and just go over the price action that I saw today and tell you guys the trades that I put on. So today was CPI day. We had CPI news come out at 8:30, which caused price to run up like crazy, and I made some trades on the S&P 500 and one on QQQ, so I'll walk you guys through those. There's two things that I want to go through today as well. Number one being I want to talk about why you don't need to be the first buyer when you see price enter a zone. You never want to be that first buyer. And yes, it might feel good and it might boost up your ego, but I don't think that's a good strategy to have in the long term. So I'll explain that. And the other thing that I want to talk about is why you need to be making a plan and writing it out at the beginning of every single day. You need to build as much accountability as you can into your plan, because if you don't put any accountability to your plan and you just kind of think it in your head, you say, I'm going to do this when price reaches this supply zone, it builds no accountability. And then if you don't stick to your plan, you release all of your responsibility to hold to that plan, and it's much harder for you to make progress. Whereas on the other side, which I've been doing in the last month, is creating a strict plan at the beginning of each day, writing it down in my journal and looking at it before I enter the market and saying, these are the levels where I will play if price does this in a specific area. I'll give you an example. I'll show you my journal right here. This is my journal from OneNote for today, 6/13 CPI day. So this is a little screenshot of what price action has been doing the last couple days. You can see break and retest. We've been having a lot of strength. I had a supply zone here drawn out, and I said, again, I'm watching this uptrend, looking for buyers to defend it. If we break end of day to the downside, I'll be looking to play short to this break and retest level at 431.77 for some resistance. I said the market is still bullish, so I will look for opportunities to play with buyers unless we see strong selling out of this supply zone. So I had a supply zone here. If you want to look at it, you can go all the way back on the 4 hours, zoom out to about 180 days, might even be a full 360 days, a whole year. But this is a strong supply zone from two double tops way back there. And I expected to see some kind of selling when price came into this area. So this is what I write down. And at the end of my day, I go back and I grade my performance to see how closely I stuck to that plan. So let's see what happened here. So right after I made my pre-market plan, looked like this, then we saw price run up into this supply zone and we saw selling. So now I'm updating my plan, my pre-market plan, real time. I'm saying, okay, price made it into this supply zone. Now I'm seeing selling. What is my plan going to be? My plan was going to be, or my plan was, when we saw this selling, we created a critical level, pre-market high. Sometimes pre-market high will be already established way early in the morning. In this case, it was only established about 15 minutes before the market opened. So sometimes you have to adapt your plan real time. You can't just make your pre-market plan an hour before the market opens and expect that to hold. So what happened here is, in my mind, I'm thinking, I saw selling inside of a supply zone. Right away, that's telling me there's probably some sellers that want to step into the market. Now, I will look to see how price reacts to that level again. Will that same seller step in and defend his position? So that's exactly what happened here. Price ran up in the first 15 minutes of market open, and we saw sellers step right back in. So that same seller came up to defend his position. And this is where I played with that large money to the downside. Initially, I was targeting end of day, which lined up perfectly with pre-market low. Two critical levels together was made a perfect target for me. However, once we got around to the opening price, I set a trailing stop for 16 bucks and it stopped me out, which is perfectly fine. I made 50% profits on this trade and I was very happy with it. Now, here, this is just what I wrote. I saw selling creating a perfect pre-market high, acting as a critical level, and I waited for price to retest and see how price reacted. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I've been stressing in my journal to myself this concept of watching how price reacts. That's why I always put it in capital letters, because it's so important to see what price does at this level. If you just think, oh, I'm going to go short. Like imagine if I went short right here. As soon as we saw price touch that pre-market high, you need to wait to see how price reacts. Now, yeah, I could have gone long here and played to the upside. However, I this is a 1 minute chart, so that's only 2 minutes. I could have waited another minute candle to close, and I would have seen that sellers are stepping right in. And this also goes back to the other point, which I mentioned in the beginning about not being the first seller. Imagine if you went short right here. You were the first seller there. As soon as price went there, you went short and you saw price rip through and you got stopped out and then price knifed down right exactly where you thought it wanted to go. The whole purpose of not being the first seller or buyer is that you want large money to step in and prove to you that they are defending this position. Because you, as a retail trader, there's no way you're going to move the market. So even if you did get in right here and price went in your direction, there's no way that you actually move the market. You need big money to move the market. So if you want a robust strategy that's going to work over the long term, you want to wait for areas where you expect large money to be, and you want to wait till you see them show up in the market defending that position, and then you open a position next to theirs, go playing in the same direction, because the only way you can win in this game is to identify smart money and trade with them. So that's exactly what I did in this scenario, and it played out great for me. Now, if we look at what happened further in the day, that was my trade for the day. However, if I had gone back to my journal and said, I am looking to play with buyers. Oh, here. Market is still bullish, so I will look for opportunities to play with buyers. Now, I didn't take this trade. That was my one trade for the day. However, you can see on the QQQ right here, this is our end of day. When you're in an uptrend, here, let's just check it out. So on the right here, if my face is not in the way, you can see exactly what happened on Friday last week. So price ran all the way up, and we saw major strength in pre-market with the CPI data. And when price comes down to this end of day area, which is always a critical area of interest, and we see buying, we want to play with smart money. So I didn't make this trade, but I wrote in my journal to note that this was a perfect setup. It was almost a perfect double bottom, as you can see right here. And what I love about this setup is the retest that you can see right here. Now, this is another situation in when you don't necessarily need to be the first buyer. You can see price kind of breaks end of day, and we get smart money buying up price here. And price comes down and retests, and that same smart money defends their position. So this is giving you a much more high probable setup and guaranteeing you that you are playing in the same direction as smart money, as opposed to just gambling and just hoping that the market is going to move in your direction. You want to be certain that you're playing with big institutions, institutional traders, so you can have them on your side and or you can be almost certain that price is going to move in that direction. And what I love about this trade on QQQ is this supply zone that we created in pre-market. You can see all of this selling. Once we saw strength, the next area to go and retest. Look at that. Look how perfectly we tagged that supply zone. So these zones that are created in pre-market or at the beginning of the day act as price magnets. So once price is shifting in the other direction, that is the next most probable place that it would go back. Price will go back to this area and seek value, seek people agreeing on price. And that's exactly what we saw. That would have been a perfect opportunity to take that trade. And I believe I even made a little note in my journal right here. You can see that would have got you 120% profits, or going from this break and retest on the left here, that would have got you 62% profits. Like I said, I didn't take this trade, but that would have been the next best trade today, trading with conditions. And I always like to program my mind in my journal to make myself perceptive to all of the high probability setups and the setups that are trading with trend, because that's what I want to train my mind to look at setups that are with trend, not just reversals. I want to play with the flow of the market, so I'm not fighting the trend. So those are my points for today. The main one that I want to stress is make a pre-market plan. You can write it out in your journal, but pick out levels where you want to see price retest and see how price reacts at those levels. Because without accountability in your pre-market plan, you're never going to be able to make adjustments to your plan and figure out where you were incorrect and where are places where you need to improve. So that is one thing that I definitely stress is help me, and I'm going to continue to do that. And the other thing is, do not be the first buyer. Wait for smart money to show themselves, reveal their plan, and then trade with them. I hope that helped you guys out. I'll catch you guys in the next one.